Welcome to Amazing 10 TV. In this video, we will be giving you the top 10 deadliest pandemic in history. Number 10. Sixth Cholera Pandemic. It happened on 1910 to 1911, like its 5 previous incarnations. The sixth cholera pandemic originated in India before spreading to the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe, and Russia. Cholera cases had been cut down dramatically, although it was still a constant in India, where it killed over 800,000. Number 9. Hong Kong flu pandemic, or 1968 pandemic H3N2 virus. A Category 2 flu pandemic, sometimes referred to as the Hong Kong flu. The 1968 flu pandemic caused by the H3N2 strain of the influenza A virus, a genetic offshoot of the H2N2 subtype. From the first reported case on July 13, 1968 in Hong Kong, it took only 17 days before outbreaks of the virus were reported in Singapore and Vietnam, and within 3 months had spread to the Philippines, India, Australia, Europe, and the United States. It killed more than 1 million people. Number 8. Russian flu pandemic happened on 1889 to 1890, H3N8. Originally the Asiatic flu, or Russian flu as it was called, this strain was thought to be an outbreak of the influenza A virus subtype H2N2. Though recent discoveries have instead found the cause to be the influenza A virus subtype H3N8. Though it was the first true pandemic in the era of bacteriology, and much was learned from it. In the end, the 1889 to 1890 flu pandemic claimed the lives of over 1 million individuals. Number 7. Third cholera pandemic. Generally considered the most deadly of the 7 cholera pandemics, the third major outbreak of cholera in the 19th century lasted from 1852 to 1860, ending the lives of over 1 million people. British physician John Snow, while working on a poor area of London, tracked cases of cholera and eventually succeeded in identifying contaminated water as the means of transmission for the disease. Number 6. Asian flu H2N2. Asian flu was a pandemic outbreak of the influenza A of H2N2 subtype. Originated in China in 1956 and lasted until 1958. Estimates for the death toll of the Asian flu vary depending on the source, but the World Health Organization places the final tally at approximately 2 million deaths, 69,800 of those in the US alone. Before we continue to the top 5 deadliest pandemic in history, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell now. Number 5. Antonine Plague. This unknown disease was brought back to Rome by soldiers returning from Mesopotamia around 165 AD. Unknowingly, They had spread a disease which would end up killing over 5 million people and decimating the Roman army. Number 4. Spanish flu pandemic. Between 1918 and 1920, a disturbingly deadly outbreak of influenza tore across the globe, infecting over a third of the world's population and ending the lives of 20 to 50 million people. What separated the 1918 flu pandemic from other influenza outbreaks was the victims. Where influenza had always previously only killed juveniles and the elderly or already weakened patients, it had begun striking down hardy and completely healthy young adults, while leaving children and those with weaker immune systems still alive. Number 3. Plague of Justinian, 541 to 542 AD. Thought to have killed perhaps half the population of Europe, the Plague of Justinian was an outbreak of the bubonic plague that afflicted the Byzantine Empire and Mediterranean port cities in its year-long reign of terror, killing up to 25 million people. Number 2. HIV or AIDS pandemic. First identified in Democratic Republic of the Congo in 1976. HIV/AIDS has truly proven itself as a global pandemic, killing more than 36 million people since 1981. As awareness has grown, new treatments have been developed that make HIV far more manageable, and many of those infected go on to lead productive lives. Between 2005 and 2012, the annual global deaths from HIV/AIDS dropped from 2.2 million to 1.6 million. Before we reveal the top spot on our deadliest pandemic list, do not forget to like this video and comment down your request for our next episode. Number 1. The Black Death. From 1346 to 1353, an outbreak of the plague ravaged Europe, Africa, and Asia. Thought to have originated in Asia, the plague most likely jumped continents via the fleas living on the rats that so frequently lived aboard merchant ships. Ports, being major urban centers at the time, were the perfect breeding ground for the rats and fleas, and thus the insidious bacterium flourished, devastating 3 continents in its wake, with an estimated death toll between 75 and 200 million people. Did you enjoy our top 10 deadliest pandemic list? Subscribe now to Amazing 10 TV and be updated on our next videos. Stay safe and stay amazing 10 TV.